Okay, John is ready, and we are just waiting for a few people to come back. I took your seat, I'm so sorry. I kind of need to be in front of him, if you don't mind. Here, you sit in my seat, move my stuff. I have to edit that out.
Okay, we're ready to begin.
Let's go, quiet. John's ready.
Like I said, I'm John Erickson, and
All right.
in listening to the new members, it reminded me of myself when I first began growing orchids. I retired in 2011, and I was looking for something to keep me busy, and I came across, well, actually a friend of mine gave me 2 orchids, and I put them in my entryway, and then I went off and I bought, potting mixture and all kinds of stuff, and 2 days later I come back to get the orchids, and here they were facing west, and they all got sunburnt and died. So I said to myself, well, if I'm going to grow orchids, it's going to be very expensive unless I really learn how. So I joined the Orchid Society in 2012, and here I am today. So, before I talk about repotting orchids, I want to talk about the botanical garden. The botanical garden opened its doors in 2010, March of 2010, so we're 12 years old. It began with the orchid room as one of the first gardens to be there. Mike Bond and Robbie Robinson were instrumental in starting that garden, and the Orchid Society has since maintained it. And then, let's see, we got Barbara's there.
Barbara's here. This is Barbara.
Okay.
That was the husband.
Yeah, that was her husband that started, the Orchid Society and the room out there. Like I say, we've maintained it ever since, and as part of that, they allow us to use this building free of charge for our meetings. That's the reciprocal part of it. The botanical garden is unique in the fact that it's all volunteers. There's nobody on the payroll. As a result, that's why it's free. It's unique in that fact. There's not very many botanical gardens in Florida or in the United States that are free. It's run by the Friends of Port St. Lucie Botanical Garden, which is a membership program, and we encourage everybody to become members. It costs $35 a year for a single, $50 for a family. As part of that, you get a 10% discount from the gift shop, which is behind that curtain there. There's reciprocal admission and or discounts at other botanical gardens. For example, if you go into McKee, show them your membership, and they will let you in free. Okay? We have access and discounts on selected classes, seminars, and events. For example, I give a seminar every year. They have once a month. They give these seminars. I give a seminar on repotting orchids. Someone from the Rose Garden gives a seminar on the roses. Someone from the Hibiscus Society gives one on hibiscus, and so forth. Then we have other things like yoga, once a week. And members is free, and non-members it's $10. And for those workshops, they can range anywhere from $20 up to $50 charge. $50 is for the bonsai, so you're actually getting the bonsai and everything. But for members, that's free unless it's a bonsai where you pay a portion of it. Also, there is an annual membership holiday gathering, usually at Christmas time, and that's catered. sit down, band, dancing, the whole 9 yards, all of that's free. So it's a good deal. And they're always looking for volunteers. Volunteers can be working at the welcome desk back there, working in the gift shop, working out in the propagation area there, planting up new plants, or they can be working in the garden with me. I'm in charge of maintenance. Okay, enough of that. Repotting orchids with confidence. Let's see here. First thing we're going to do, does everybody have this handout? Okay, I'm going to go through there, 1 through 9, and I'm going to show you, and then you can take this out there and follow it and do it yourself. First one is remove the orchid from the pot. You may need a knife to circle inside the pot to loosen the roots. So here I have an orchid. It's not the best looking orchid. These leaves here are about ready to die and so forth. But it's a dendrobium, and dendrobiums, the roots really get packed, really dense. And if it's in a clay pot like this, those roots are going to stick to the clay pot because clay pots are porous. So it can be difficult getting it out of a clay pot. If it's in a plastic pot, all you have to do is squeeze it like this, and then it should pull right out, no matter what kind, because the roots aren't going to attach to this. This is not porous. Speaking of that, if you buy a plastic pot and it's advertised as an orchid plastic pot, it's going to have slits on the side and on the bottom, and it's going to have a dome bottom, and it's going to cost you about $2 a piece or more. I bought this one. It didn't have the holes in the side. It just had the dome. So this one was probably, $1.50 or something. And then I just bought this, and I just poked the holes myself and said, if you're going to buy a lot of them, that's the way to go. Here's another one. Got the holes in the bottom. This is not an orchid pot, but you could put your holes in the bottom and the side, and you have plenty of drainage.
What's that tool?
It's just a heating iron.
It's a heating iron. Soldering iron.
Soldering iron. I got this online. It comes from China. It cost me about $3, but it took me about 3 months to get it. You're gonna laugh here. I got a joke here. All right. Dear neighbor, hi Morris. This is Saul, next door. I've been riddled with guilt for a few months and have been trying to get up the courage to tell you face to face. When you're not around, I've been sharing your wife. Day and night, probably much more than you. I haven't been getting it at home recently. I know that's no excuse. The temptation was too great. I can't live with the guilt and hope you will accept my sincere apologies and forgive me. Please suggest a fee for usage and I'll pay you. Saul. Morris, feeling enraged and betrayed, grabbed the gun, went next door and shot Saul dead. He returned home, shot his wife, poured himself a stiff drink, and sat down on the sofa. Morris then looked at his phone and discovered a second text message from Saul. The second text message. Hi Morris, Saul here. Sorry about the typo on my last text. I assume you figured out and noticed that the darn spell check had changed Wi-Fi to wife. Technology, huh? It'll be the death of us all. Started out bad, but it ended okay. Here's a shorter one. A taxing situation. According to unofficial sources, a new simplified income tax form contains only 4 lines. 1. What was your income for the year? 2. What were your expenses? 3. How much did you have left? 4. Send it in. Okay. So, to get this mass of roots and so forth out, they're going to be, you know, it's not growing over the top, but it's going to be in the next 6 months or so. So it's probably good to be repotted now. So what I did is I took a knife. Here's a long one, here's a little one. This one worked fine. You got to force it down in there, and then you have to saw all the way around. Now, if some is growing over here, what you do with this is you put this in water, and you leave it sit for about 10 minutes. That will loosen up your roots. Your roots will expand, and they'll be flexible. Then when you take this out, anything that's sticking on the side, you should be able to easily just go like this and they'll just come right off. And you'll have nothing on the outside hanging on anymore. Only the roots inside will still be there. So that's why you got to do this. Okay? Go all the way around and then grab a hold and pull up. I've already loosened this. So this is the dendrobium. You can see all the massive roots and so forth. Now you have to get that old medium off of there. So you're going to, over your tray, start at the bottom and start massaging. That's what they call it. And you just want to get all that stuff off. And hopefully, you know, you left it in there 10 minutes, the medium has become saturated, and it's a lot easier to get off if it's wet and saturated. So you keep doing this. Sometimes it's easy if you have a phalaenopsis, those are big roots. It takes you maybe 5 minutes a lot of times. For dendrobium, I worked on one on Sunday, and 30 minutes later I was still working on the roots. And on Monday, we were out in the orchid room doing this, and Andrea was clearing it up. And when it came time to cut off all the dead roots, you know, it took forever. And she had a few words to say. But anyway, you keep doing that, and you'll end up with something like this, all clean. The next thing then is to cut off all the dead or the rotting and the dried up roots. Okay, which ones are rotted, which ones are dried up? The rotted ones and the rotted ones, if you squeeze the root and it feels hollow or mushy, then it's rotten or it's rotting. If it looks like you know, a piece of string, wrinkly up and so forth, then it's dried out, and you want to get rid of that. So you take your sterilized tool. Scissors works good for small roots in that, rather than a pruner. And you just sit here and find the dead ones and cut them out as far back as they are dead. That means maybe the whole thing, or maybe it just means part of one. Maybe the tip, a few inches is dead, the rest of it is fine, then just cut it off. Cut it off so that all of the dead stuff is off. And you don't want that dead stuff spreading back if you didn't cut it all off. So you clean this up, and this is what Andrew was complaining about, is, you know, with the scissors, you know, it's one at a time, and so forth. It takes some time, but you end up with something like this. Okay, we've done two. It says remove all the old potting medium from roots and wash roots. So, you know, as you're doing this, if you get to a point where it's really getting tough, take it and go to a hose with a jet spray and just put it on the ground and hit it with the jet spray. It's not going to damage your roots. And that will loosen it up, then go back and start massaging again. And when you get where it's really tough again, go hit it with a jet again and so forth. So it's a back and forth, back and forth.
You really beat those things up. I mean, you're bashing them up. Slam bang on them.
Okay, now, next thing. Number 3 was cut all the rotten stuff off with a sterile tool. We've done that. If you have a large cut, like if you cut the rhizome, that's the horizontal root, like a dendrobium or a cattleya or a oncidium. If you cut that, you know, that's about, what size? You know, about that size. That's a pretty good cut. Then you want to put cinnamon on that cut. Just spray it with hydrogen peroxide or alcohol, and then take a pinch and just put it on there. Okay. Okay, where are we?
4.
Okay.
4.
Spray this now with hydrogen peroxide or rubbing alcohol. This is hydrogen peroxide, 3%. Get in any drugstore, Walmart, whatever.
Is that just straight?
Straight,
Oh.
it's already 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Hydrogen peroxide, 3%, straight. Let me read to you what comes from the St. Augustine Orchid Society's website. This is one of the largest and oldest and most prestigious orchid society in the United States. I'm going to read for you word for word what it says. Hydrogen peroxide is a highly effective bacterial and antifungal agent. The 3% strength version can be used full strength on your plants. It kills bacteria and fungal spores on the aerial parts of the plant without damaging the orchid. Spray sunburn leaves to prevent secondary infection. Spray leaf surfaces after prolonged rainfall to prevent rot. Pour into Phalaenopsis crown to stop crown rot from progressing. Use it liberally whenever you see leaf discoloration, water pocketing, sun spots, and so forth. Perhaps the hydrogen peroxide also has an added benefit of sanitizing the wounds you inflicted on the roots during the repotting process, similar to cauterizing a wound. So, pure 3% hydrogen peroxide. Spray it, you know, all around, and spray it on your leaves, etc. Now, there's also isopropyl alcohol, most commonly known as rubbing alcohol. Okay? It comes in two forms, 70% and 91%. Okay, I went online and I started doing the research on isopropyl alcohol, because in some of my seminars the people frown, you're putting alcohol on there, isn't it going to damage the orchid? Well, I went to 5 sites. One of them said, mix your isopropyl alcohol, 7 parts water, 1 part isopropyl alcohol. I went to another one. It says mix it 5 parts water, 1 part isopropyl alcohol. I went to another one. It says 2 parts water, 1 part isopropyl alcohol. I went to a 4th one. It says use it straight. Then I went to a 5th one, and it says, well, what I recommend is that you select one mixture, try it out on 1 plant, orchid, 1 leaf, and 1 flower. Then 24 hours later, come back and look at it. Is the flower got any brown spots? Does the leaf have any drying up or wrinkling or anything like that? If not, then do the same procedure a 2nd time. Come back 24 hours later. If it still doesn't have any brown spots or any wrinkling or anything, then that mixture is probably good. So, what I've got here is 1 part water, 1 part isopropyl alcohol. And you can spray the entire plant with this. Now, one benefit that this has, a big benefit, that it not only does the same thing as hydrogen peroxide, but it also kills insects. You know, it will kill thrips, it will kill spider mites, you just about name it. It'll kill Mealybugs, I mean, anything kills mealybugs, you know. Same thing with aphids. All you gotta do is spray it with water and you get rid of them. But this has the added benefit of being sort of an insecticide as well as a fungicide and bactericide. But again, you can spray the whole plant.
How many times?
You're just spraying it one time, just put it in here. So now, this is all set. You know, I sprayed it, so hopefully I've, you know, gotten rid of any spores, bacterial or fungal spores that were in there. If I sprayed it with alcohol, I'd also get rid of any little insects that may be in there.
Will it kill ants?
It will alcohol will discourage ants because of the smell of that.
Do you want to kill ants? I know how to kill ants.
Whatever.
You use baking soda and sugar. Mix it together and pour it right there where the ant is at. The sugar draws the ants out, the baking soda kills the ants.
I have one story. A keto. It has salt. They take a bite of the salt, and they go to a little cup, a little holder, and they have rum and that. They drink that. They get drunk. They have a stick next to that. They trip on the stick and hit their head on the rock.
Where did you get that? That's good.
Works on neighbors too.
Okay, we're ready to put this in the pot. And the rule of thumb is put it in a pot where it's just snug. So if this came out of a 6-inch pot and it was snug and you didn't have to cut off many roots, you'd probably want to put it in a 7-inch pot to allow for 2 years worth of growth. And when you put a sympodial orchid, sympodial means that they have a horizontal root. And that horizontal root has a back bulb, which is this, and a front division, which is this. This plant is growing that direction. Okay? This is the old back bulb. That's the new frontal division. So you want to put this back bulb against the inside of your pot to allow the most room for this frontal part to grow before it hits the other side. Something like this, against up here and leaving some room. So now, this is a 6-inch pot. That doesn't leave much room. I don't think that's 2 years worth of growth. It's about that far. So, I will get a 7-inch pot. That's what this is. I know. Have you ever gone to this Home Depot or something like that and found a 7-inch pot?
Yeah, right.
I haven't.
No.
This is an older pot. Evidently, they used to make them that way. So now, if we put this one in, I've got some more room, and that may give me 2 years worth of growth before I have to repot it because it's grown over the top. So that's what I'm going to use. So what I usually do is I take some of my broken clay pots, and I've got a lot of them, because I have all my plants outside hanging in trees. And sometimes the hanger falls and the plant falls and so forth. What I do is I take a little piece of broken clay pot and I'll put it on the bottom, over the hole, but it's a U-shaped one. So that prevents any of the medium from getting out or getting clogged up. Okay, but it leaves plenty of room for the water still to get out. I forgot to bring that, so that's not part of it. And here's my medium, and I've been soaking this since the beginning. Okay, so now suppose, let's say it's 15, 20 minutes. That's enough. It's fairly saturated. I like this to be saturated Because if you wait until the end, how saturated do you think you can get this by spraying it for 10 seconds until the water runs out the bottom? It's not going to get saturated at all. Now it's perfectly saturated. So I got my clay at the bottom there.
Excuse me, I do the same thing and I put already the fertilizer in the water. So
Yeah.
is that okay?
Yeah. Sure. Let me see, where's my... So now, I measured this out in here, so I knew exactly how much I was getting. This should fill up this pot. Okay, so I'm going to pour this into my container here, and you all should have a packet on the table out there like this. Okay, this contains coarse perlite, which is good to keep your mixture aerated and prevent it from compacting, and eggshells. Eggshells are a form of calcium. Calcium is very important for an orchid. If you use a fertilizer, go look at that fertilizer when it tells you to break down, 20% nitrogen, 15% phosphorus, 5% potassium, and then there's all these microelements in there. You won't find calcium anyplace. It's hardly in any fertilizer. And orchids need calcium. Okay? If they don't have calcium, a lot of times they'll be yellowing. The leaves will be yellowing in that. So those eggshell chips will give it the calcium. So I just open this up, and that's quite a bit, but I'm just going to put it all in there.
How do you prepare the eggshells to use?
How do I what?
How do you prepare the eggshells? Do you wash them out?
I just do this.
Oh, so you don't.
And then I put them on my counter. Well, I put them on my counter first after, of course, breaking them. Then I let them dry out for a couple of days. And by then I can come along and squeeze them like this and collect it and store it in here. I have about 10 of these.
You use raw eggs, right?
Yeah. Regular eggs.
So John, you don't wash
You
them
don't
or
wash
anything?
them?
You don't
Nope.
wash them? Okay.
So now, there's my medium.
I dry the eggshells and then after I put it in my blender and turn it into like a
That's
powder,
good.
and I mix it, and I put it around it,
Yeah, on top.
on top of it.
Yeah,
I never
I'm
did
just
with that, but
too lazy, I guess. It's easy for me to just.
I save it for a month, and then once a month I put a
So
tablespoon.
there we are. I take a handful, form a mound down there.
What about the styrofoam peanuts?
Oh, yeah. If you want to form a layer down there with really aerated well, you can first put in styrofoam peanuts. And you all know what that looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
But be very, 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 very careful. Do not put styrofoam peanuts in there that have cornstarch in it. Because then you'll get a syrupy mess. And well,
If
try it out.
if they get wet, you will find out.
That'll be almost instantaneous,
Yeah.
turn into syrup. Okay, but this is good filler. On the bottom, if you got a big pot and you don't want to use all that potting soil mixture, put this stuff in as a filler on the bottom. Also, broken clay pots work good. If you're using a clear pot, one of the disadvantages of clear pot is they're very light. You put it down like that and you put a dendrobium in there, it's going to try to tip over If you put this outside in the patio or something, wind comes along, it's gonna tip
Mm-hmm.
over. So you might want to put some clay in there, give it some weight, help prevent maybe falling over.
Can you put stones in or?
Sure.
Sure.
Sterilize them, you know, somehow.
Or shells from the beach.
Okay. Okay. So now we're set here. Take our orchid, let's put it in there. You see it's nice and stuff. I got to make sure that this is the back, and there's the new growth coming this way. I want to put this back against this wall, this inside portion. And now you want to bury it so that the base of the stem is horizontal with the top of the rim. So you start adding it, and you push it down as you go. And you take a pencil with an eraser. This one's missing the eraser, but you poke it down in there like that to get it into the cracks in that. You try not to have any air pocket in there. You want to do a good job. So do it as you're putting it in, you know, step by step. And push down with the thumb and so forth. What some people do is they'll take a skewer. You know what I mean by a skewer?
Yeah.
This is not a skewer, but you can illustrate. But push it down in there like that, and then go like this. And that will force it into the cracks and so forth. Go around and around.
It doesn't hurt the roots?
Not really.
How many times?
Okay, so now pushing down. I don't want to push too hard. I don't want to compact it a lot. Okay. Now, if you have tall stems like this, you could put in a bamboo piece like this, force it all the way down, and then you can, you know, attach these with a tie, twist tie. You know, put it around here or something like this. You know, tie it. Or what you can do is you can take a pot clip. This is a 7-inch pot. This is a 6-inch pot clip. That's okay. And put it somewhere through the canes, and then push down hard.
Yeah, they are hard.
This is where a hammer comes in. Now, you want to make sure that your plant doesn't wiggle, because if it wiggles, then your roots are not going to be able to establish themselves, and your plant's never going to really grow well. Now, you can see, so that not move. Okay, let's see, where are we at? Okay, number 6.
What's your label
Says, label plant with name and repotting date. So, here is a label that I bought online. Got 100 of them for $5 or something like that. This one has holes, so you can put it like this and put it around a cane. I put on here the type of orchid and its name, which in my case is a Dendrobium orphan.
Appropriate name.
Repotted 4/12/22. So that's that here. But I found that these disappear sometimes. So I usually have a second one, and if I remember it, I'll put it on the bottom, horizontal. If I don't remember it, then I'll just push it way down in the side. It's not going anyplace. Okay? So if this comes off, I still got this one. And I label them, there's a rough side and a smooth side. You write on the rough side in pencil. Don't use a magic marker or an ink pen or anything. 2H pencil. Okay, if you have a one that has flowered and it's got a stem here, but the flower's gone, you have two choices. You can either leave it, that stem with flower on, and hopefully, and you can cut it off, you know, nodes. This is a node. Each one of these. You see them on all plants of some kind. You can go down, you know, below like the third node and cut it. This will force the orchid to put energy into forming a stem somewhere down below. And you get a stem, new buds, and flowers. But if you do that, you're taking energy away from the plant that would normally go into forming roots and leaves. So if you did that, you may end up the next year with a plant that is less desirable as the one before it. You know, your leaves are smaller, your flowers are fewer, whatever. So I usually just cut any stem after it's bloomed all the way back. Now you say, these canes, you know, why don't I cut this one and this one? This is an orphan, and if it's a Phalaenopsis dendrobium, then it can form a stem without leaves at all. You get a new stem, and on that stem you'll get a bud and flowers. And you may get two stems. So even though this looks like it's done, it's not dead, so it could produce more flowers. And like I say, the Phalaenopsis dendrobium, that's what's called a modern dendrobium. It can withstand cold and heat, and it's been hybridized so that it also has that capability of growing a stem without leaves. Okay. The next thing here, it says, inspect it for insects and abnormalities. Hopefully it doesn't have any insects if you sprayed it with alcohol. Abnormalities, maybe you got a dead leaf turned yellow. How many have had yellow leaves and you tried to pull it off and you couldn't pull it off?
Yeah.
And then you end up cutting it off and you got that ugly stem until a month later when that will fall off too. Okay, what you do, if it's yellow, you start here and peel it right down the middle. It'll peel real easy all the way here. Then you got two parts. You take one foot to the right, other one to the left, and they pull right off.
Okay.
Okay, last thing you want to do is probably fertilizer. Out on your tables out there, in addition to the bag, you have a cup full of milorganite. Milorganite is a slow-release fertilizer, 2-2-2. 2 parts nitrogen, 2 parts phosphorus, 2 parts potassium. Slow release. So you can put this on as, you can still fertilize normally with your liquid fertilizer or anything like that. You do not have to worry about fertilizer burn. Okay? Just take a pinch and just sprinkle it around there. And you have enough on your table for all 4 people to take a pinch or 2 or whatever. Side note, if you have problems with squirrels or insects, or snails and so forth, Milorganite will keep them away. We had a speaker here, from West Ball, isn't it?
David Distro.
Okay. And that's what she recommended. And she's a
No.
master orchid grower, judge.
Now, the only thing I'd say about no organite, I use it in all my pots. My husband uses it on a yard. It stinks. We didn't tell him what no organite is. But it doesn't keep the squirrels away from the dirt. It keeps them out of the pot. But they still running up and down the tree. Judy thought it would keep them away from the yard too.
No, it keeps away from your orchid.
An 80-pound rescue dog is a real good job on squirrels. Right on the
Milorganite, pound for pound, is about the cheapest fertilizer you can get. You can get it from Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever. Okay, any other questions? Been a little longer than I thought.